Job. Actually, Job and Solomon remind me a lot of each other. And so when I was reading through Ecclesiastes, I kind of was remembering what I had read in the book of Job last year. So anyway, that's just a little background on what I'm going to be talking about next. And then we'll tie it together. Let's see. There are actually a couple of things that I'd like to share with you guys, and it's all in Ecclesiastes. And his book actually ties together very well. But we will start in chapter 2, verses 24 through 26. A man can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in his work. This too, I see, is from the hand of God. For without him, who can eat or drink, or find who can eat or find enjoyment? To the man who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth, to hand it over to the one who pleases God. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. So what he's saying is, while we're here, regardless of what he has us doing, he wants us to enjoy our life, and he's given us that gift. He wants us to take pleasure in our work. And like I had said earlier, I believe that God still has work for you guys to do, though it's not physical anymore. And I just want you guys to remember that, because your life is very much worth living. And you guys, I mean, I don't know how God's going to use you. I don't know what he's done in your lives in the past, but I know that he still can use you. And it's just, you know, it may just be sharing the gospel. It may just be having a smile on your face. But God still has a purpose for you, and he wants you to remember that and take delight in it. I find that pretty neat. Let's see. Ecclesiastes 5, verses 18 through 20. Then I realized that it is good and proper for a man to eat and drink, and to find satisfaction in his toilsome labor under the sun, during the few days of life God has given him, for this is his lot. Moreover, God gives any man wealth and possessions, and enables him to enjoy them, to accept a lot, and be happy in his work. This is a gift from God. He seldom reflects on the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with gladness of heart. Now, you may say, again, what does that have to do with me? You know, my days under the sun, of working outside, or what I did, you know, physically are over. Well, that may be. But this applies just as much to you as it does somebody who is working under the sun. The Lord has given you life, and he wants you to have a happy and prosperous life. Not saying that everything's going to be perfect, but if everything was perfect, we wouldn't need Jesus. And I think that's exactly the point that is being made in James, which is the book that we started off in here. There's still work for you guys to be done. And if you ask the Holy Spirit to enter your heart and lives, or maybe you already have, but he will give you joy and a reason to live, and he wants you to enjoy every day, because like I said, you know, life is going to be short. Okay, there's one more, actually there's a couple more verses that I want to share with you guys, because one I came across last night, but here's one from a few days ago. Ecclesiastes 6:12. For who knows what is good for a man in life during the few and meaningless days he passes through like a shadow? Who can tell him what will happen under the sun after he is gone? Well, what that says to me, that hit me really hard, because, you know, it says to me, I don't know about you guys, maybe it'll speak to you in a different way, but that spoke to me that, you know, I could be gone any minute, but who knows? But what I say and what I do and the way I live my life just might hit home for somebody else the days after I'm gone, and I may not be able to see the reward. But I gave a sermon a while back about how we should store our treasures up in heaven. I believe that's in the book of Hebrews. But that's I mean, the life is so short, and by saying meaningless, it doesn't mean that God doesn't value you or doesn't want your days to mean anything. Actually, it's quite the opposite. But what it's just saying is, without Him, it is meaningless, which is very true, because without Him, we wouldn't be here in the first place. My last key point, or my last verse, and then I'll wrap it up. And it kind of just ties into what I just said. Ecclesiastes 11:5. As you do not know the path of the wind, or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. Think about that. I want you guys to think about where you are right now. You still have abilities. You don't, I mean, and I'm going to read this little side note that I was looking at last night that I thought was perfect. If God is the maker of all things, why did He make you like you are? Oh, there are some things about yourself you don't like. That nose just a little bit off center. You have to study hard while your older sister breezes through school without cracking a book. The reason that's in here is because it's a teenage book, so excuse me for that. Probably doesn't apply anymore, but okay, you're not perfect, but that's not the point. The point is that God, the maker of all things, shaped you from the beginning. Instead of worrying about flaws, why not make a list of good things about yourself? You may not get a lot of things down the first time you try, but keep the list around and add things when you think of them. Then enjoy and celebrate yourself. That's right, guys. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate the life that God has given you. And just continue to do work. And, I mean, obviously,